You are listening to Imperfect Fifth, a podcast, offbeat conversations with music industry humans that we love. Today's episode is brought to you by Easy Visibility. Let Aaron Zimmerman be your visibility guide and visual storyteller, currently serving entrepreneurs globally. And by Double Take Productions. We have no tagline, we're just twins who have been taking photos, shooting and editing film, event planning, and more together since 2010. Be sure to nab your Rainbow Kitten Surprise hoodie or crop sweatshirt in our shop. Check out imperfectfifth.com/merch to see all of our current merchandise options, including small batch handmade earrings. Today, we sit down with incredible feminist indie pop artist Michelle Bursky, the brainchild of Birch, to chat about her new album release.
What was the first song or album that you remember ever hearing, and does that work of art have any influence on how you approach your music?
When I grew up, I started by listening to what my parents were listening to, which was like James Taylor and Van Morrison, which, I liked it at the time because it reminded me of my family and it made me feel, like warm and family safe. But then like the first music I remember like really connecting to, like the kind of like I had to go out and buy the CD was, this is gonna sound, whatever. Judge me if you want to judge me, but it was Spice Girls.
All right. Hey, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I just remember feeling like I had never heard anything like it. And I know looking back, it was like totally manufactured, but I just loved their power. And I loved how unique and how strong they were and how they were all individuals and they were loud. I loved them. And so I feel like, I don't know, I haven't really thought about that until you asked this question, but like, I think that they might have an influence over me about how I approach my music, just like trying to approach it with, it's not the same. Like I don't write that kind of pop music, but individuality and strength and, female empowerment definitely plays a huge role in my music.
And that actually, of course, just kind of segues into my next question. You recently released Spelling Lessons, which is a song about first experiences with sexism and sexist behavior. Mm-hmm. I know we got a little taste of your first experience when you had the explanation with the song and everything. But have there been other specifically sexist experiences that you've had that you'd like to normalize for anyone, or anything that you feel like there's taboo around that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah. There's so much. And kind of the full, so I'm putting out this album in April, and Spelling Lessons was a single off of it. But the whole album is sort of about like chronologically how I've dealt with experiencing life as a woman.
Wow. Okay.
And how sexism is sort of, so this is the second song in the album is Spelling Lessons. So this was like the earliest experience of me being like, okay, I'm not a person. I'm a person, but I'm a woman first, it seems. And, or I was a girl. And, I think like, the song Spelling Lessons is about being told to like cover up my body as a young child. And that was so confusing to me because I didn't understand why that would, and the way she said it, this is like a librarian at my school. She told me like not to distract the boys. And that it made me, it was so embarrassing. It was humiliating. So I remember that feeling of embarrassment really followed me through grade school because, like there was still this weird gaze by the boys. And like, I remember like having my bra strap snapped in English class by the boys behind me, like them laughing, thinking it was funny. Yeah. And I had like just gotten a bra. It was so embarrassing. And then, when I hit like high school, I started running cross country. And so in ninth grade, I was 13 or 14 years old. And I'm starting to get catcalled by men in cars on the street of like a very suburban town that was very safe. But that I have, that's something that catcalling is something that like obviously is so prevalent, and actually we're finally talking about it. But it starts when you are like 12 or 13 years old. And it was one of those things that like I was so confused at first, and then it made me feel just absolutely terrified to like be alone. I would go for runs all the time, and like men would literally, there would be vans of men, but then there'd also be like this white dude in a red convertible who was probably a dad, pulled up next to me once, honking his horn and licking his lips at a 14-year-old girl.
No.
Yeah. Just horrifying, just absolutely horrifying. And I think like this is something that, you know, there's these outward displays of misogyny. And I think that the whole point, misogynistic men, they want to make women feel unsafe, because feeling unsafe keeps a person indoors and inside. And I think it keeps women from taking risks. So I think I have a huge problem with like catcalling for that reason. It's like a product of a larger mindset. And, you know, later on in life, I dealt with, you know, sexual pressure from boys and sexual assault eventually, which is, you know, what we're all finally talking about with the Me Too movement and everything.
Yeah.
And I talk about that in the album as well, but like, I see kind of sexual assault is like the culmination of like a lifetime of these like microaggressions, you know, like being told to cover up or being catcalled or, you know, and so yeah, there's a ton.
You're not wrong. Oh, girl. It's hard to hear when people that inspire you, like yourself, go through things like this. But it's, like I said, it's also a very great way for you to use your platform and normalize it for people. So I greatly appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's universal. It's something that, and people, you know, women are dealing with far worse in other parts of the world, you know. But like, just for I know all I can speak to is like the American woman, because that's what I am. And it's just, these little microaggressions are something that we all have in common, because that has always been the culture. And it's just something that we all need to talk about in order to shift it, because it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl. You created this like chronological, not adventure, but just it's a story actually laid out for us. And I know it's centered around female empowerment, and that it was sparked initially by the 2016 election and everything that's happened since, of course, as well as your experiences over the course of your life. But how do you feel when you listen back to the work?
It's almost honestly like it's a strange feeling, because I really want to put it out, and I've had this album done for a long time now, and you know, there's just so much that goes into like putting out an album. It's kind of dumb, and I wish I'd put it out a little sooner. But I think that I do feel this like weird sadness around it that most people don't feel when they're putting out music. It's like should be a very exciting thing, but it's also a little scary to put it out, because it is very honest, and it's very it's universal. It's, you know, I know a lot of women have already come to me and said that, you know, with spelling lessons, they're like, yeah, that happened to me too. Like, oh, I remember being like gaslit by all these grown-ups when I was a girl.
Yeah.
And like, it's universal. So I'm very excited to get it out. It makes me feel, I'm proud of what I've made, but there's part of me that's just like, I kind of want to move on from it, because it's just depressing. But it's also like, you can't move on from this kind of work. It's something that needs to be talked about. So
absolutely,
definitely mixed emotions.
Okay, fair enough. I totally wondered about it as I listened to spelling lessons. I was like, wait a second. Well, okay, so we'll bounce off topic a little bit here. I know you're aware, living on the coast as you do, that it's a growing trend for people to be practicing more spiritual things like energy attunements and, you know, Reiki, doing the crystal things. And we all know it's been around for thousands of years. But have you seen in your life or in any of your friends' lives proof that this kind of mindset or this kind of spirituality works in people's favor? Or do you think it's just like a mindset training type of situation?
I think it works. I definitely engage in like a spiritual, I grew up like not super religious, but we went to a Protestant church that I just like never connected with religion. And it's funny because my dad he's a chiropractor, but he also did a lot of energy work and like work with chakras, and he's still, you know, he's a practicing chiropractor, and he like includes these principles, and people call him like the voodoo doctor, because he helps heal people like with energy healing. So I grew up very early on, like opening my chakras and like breathing out all the negative energy through the top of my head. And that was just normal to me.
Yeah.
But, after college and, trying to pursue a career in music, and there's a lot of, stress and anxiety that goes with that. So I sort of ended up turning to meditation as a way to just sort of calm myself down and clear my mind, so that I'm not like running around like a chicken with my head cut off all the time. I think without meditation, that's exactly what I would be. So I do sort of, and in that, I know it's super trendy and like the crystal game, I get it. It might be bullshit, but I think they're beautiful. So I've sort of put a few on my meditation, like I have a little meditation altar thing that I sit at.
Yeah.
So I'm into it. I think that it's, I think that there's science behind it, which, quantum physics, which I'm not very well versed in, but the overall principles of quantum physics are basically the same as the principles of spirituality, which is like the law of attraction. And like, if you believe it, you will see it, which
right.
there are also problems with that. I think a lot of I definitely am, I'm not really part of a spiritual community. I practice spirituality on my own, but I do have a problem with some of there's a new age of spirituality happening that is basically all white women.
Yes.
So I think that, I started following some of them and I really connected to a couple. And then as I grow and get older and really look into it, spirituality is not just Gwyneth Paltrow and her Goop website.
Right. Yes.
It is so different, and there's definitely a whitewashing happening to it. And I think that like so many spiritual leaders talk about, like the law of attraction and like what you believe you will see. And they say like spirituality is for all, but they completely disregard like the socioeconomic like discrepancies in America. So it's much easier for me, like a white girl with upper middle class parents, to like manifest my dreams because I have the conditioning to know that I can afford to like take the risks that you need to take in order to achieve your goals, right? Like I know that I'm not going to end up on the street because of where I come from. And so, there are so many more barriers in the way of like people of color to manifest their dreams. There's much more barriers. So I love the law of attraction. I think it's like real. I think it works, but I also think we also need to be talking about these socioeconomic discrepancies within spirituality. Otherwise it's just like a closed circle of like white people cooping out.
Right. No, I completely agree. I'm wondering, when you practice your meditation and as you've experienced all this growing up, have you found it helpful to be a part of a physical community that understands and believes in this, or is it just something mostly that you keep for yourself?
That's super interesting. I definitely keep it to myself, only just because I haven't found a community. There's part of me that like kind of craves one, and I have sort of been seeking it out a little bit more. But I went to this like meditation place in the city called Inscape last week and did like a meditation circle with people. But it wasn't, you don't really like meet people. It's really just you sit in a room quietly together.
Yeah.
But then it's like there's all these products in the waiting room that you look at, and they're all just like hundreds of dollar crystals and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, like I'm hesitant to become part of a community for that reason. I use meditation very selfishly. It's just for me to calm down, so I'm not like a fucking basket case. Like that's the only reason I use it, just because I found it and it helped me. And I stole a book from my dad. It was a Deepak Chopra book. It was like the 7 steps or something, one of his little ones that I felt like was like digestible, and it had like steps, and I was like, cool. I'm just going to take this. So I took it from my dad. Was on the train. This was like 3 years ago. And I'm reading through it, and then I read like one sentence that completely changed my life. And it was just a sentence about, I'm going to paraphrase, but it was like, fear does not exist because it hasn't happened yet. Whatever you're fearful of, like, has not happened yet. Therefore, it doesn't exist. Therefore, you're making this shit up, basically.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. okay, got it. And like, that is sort of what sent me into this whole long deep dive into, like, I bought A Course of Miracles, and then I found all these different spiritual teachers, and I read a lot of those kind of books. And I'm like reading some books on Buddhism, and I'm, just, but it's all for me. It's all just so that I can show up in the best way possible. So yeah, I don't really have much of a community around it. I do think that the problem with the current, spiritual community is that everything is expensive. Every, yoga retreat is expensive. Most people can't afford it. I can't really afford it either, so I'm not going to try to. So yeah, it's tricky, and I wonder if there's a way for it to move into a more inclusive direction that is, and there's probably stuff in New York City that I'm just blind to. But I'd love to find some sort of community that's like, not expensive and just a circle of people who get together. And I love it. I love that it's mostly women. I don't mind that because I do think that it's helpful for women. It is helpful for anybody. So I don't know. There's got to be a way to make it more inclusive.
I mean, fair, but yeah, I think there is a certain level of comfort with women because we're all trying to like harness that power right now in our lives. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense.
Yeah, but at the same time, men need it probably even more because it's all, like, to be able to break down the toxic masculinity, you kind of need to be able to like look inside. And I think if everybody meditated, our life, like, the world would be a completely different place.
I agree. Well, but I find it hard to, like, if I'm just going off the cuff, to remember to do it. If I'm getting stressed out, I have an issue establishing like morning rituals on a consistent basis. So do you have any particular advice you'd like to offer? I don't know, even if no one else, maybe me selfishly.
I think I also have a hard time establishing morning rituals because my days just look different. So it's hard to find the time, but I really like guided meditations. This woman, Gabby Bernstein, I don't know if you follow her, she has this membership basically that has actually really helped me. And it's like $20 a month, and every month you get a new guided meditation, as well as like a podcast episode that she records actually at my friend's studio. So I'm like vaguely stalking her. But she, basically I download her meditations, and listen to them when I'm on the subway. I try to intentionally sit down and meditate once a day. Doesn't always happen. But I also have done it enough. I think it is. I mean, they say it's a practice. It is a practice. You have to do it enough to get to a point where I'm now at a point with meditation where I can just sort of sit. It helps me to either have a guided meditation or have music, but just to be able to sit in like the same spot, cross-legged, with my palms facing up on my knees. And if I just take a few breaths, I can sink. It's like you literally feel yourself sort of sink down. And like, this is probably easy for me too, because I did this kind of as a kid. Not in the same way, but whenever I did energy healing with my dad, he would say to like sink down into, like, he would tell me to like slide down a fire pole, like a fireman, like slide down your fire pole, like into your soul. And so I would picture myself as a little person inside of me sliding down a fire pole, like down into my chest. And like, that's where I controlled everything from. And it was this sinking down, sinking in that I kind of carry into my meditation practice now. But I think like if you can sort of just keep at it, use guided, that helps a lot. Cause eventually you'll be able to just sit there. And now when I do sort of sit down and meditate with my palms up, I know I'm in it when like they start to tingle.
Yeah.
So like that happens. Sometimes I always close my eyes. Sometimes I feel like I'm actually like swaying a little bit. And then I also use journaling a lot before or after meditating to like help really bring the meditation to my like everyday life. So I can like write about what's freaking me out, and then sort of like I kind of am doing this new thing now where I write like, okay, like fear, what are you trying to tell me? I take this and then I listen to my like crazy ego mind that's like, you shouldn't do this because you're going to fail. Like, you're going to fucking fail. And and then I'm able to look at that and be like, wow, that's so dumb. Like, that's so ridiculous. This little ego mind is just trying to keep me from like falling on my face. And so she's keeping me from doing these tiny steps that I need to do to get to my goal.
I mean, when I went in, my practitioner, she does a lot of other holistic healing things, and she also does spirit guide work, which I've always been kind of a skeptic, but when I went in and didn't tell her anything about myself, and then she like knew my life story.
Yeah, I've done some like spirit guide stuff, like through guided meditation.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I can feel it. It kind of makes sense.
I do want to ask one more question just on this topic, because you seem to actually be a wealth of knowledge. A lot of people that I talk to about this are like, yeah, I got a couple crystals. I don't know. But I know today there's reported a new moon in Aquarius, and it's supposed to be good for friendships and opening up and rekindling past friendships and stuff like that. But besides that, just it being a new moon, I do have a few things that I keep here on my own little altar. And I didn't know if you had like any like things you did during either a new moon or a specific ritual you had set out, or perhaps like a couple of specific crystals or something you keep with you to help yourself that you think would help other people.
I don't actually do anything around new moons. It's just like not something that I've really thought about very much. I know it's like, people do it, but I kind of do the rituals around the new year. Is like a big one for me. I mean, everyone does, but like,
yeah, but yours is it's different. It's quirkier, and
it's like intention setting. And I kind of like to do it at the start of every month as well. Maybe if I did it around the moon cycle, maybe my life would work out better. I don't know. But yeah, I think like I bought a few new crystals recently, but one of my favorites is the quartz, the clear quartz. And it's supposed to be about like, you know, clarity and power, and like tuning into your own clarity and power. Which, you know, I keep that with me pretty consistently. There's also one, God, I forget what it's even called. It's like blue. It's like a light blue kind of stone that is about like the throat chakra, which I've had, you know, my voice is very important to me, and I've had trouble in the past. I got like from singing. I got nodes when I was in college, and it was like really traumatizing.
Oh no.
I'm healed obviously, but like it was bad. So I do a lot around like the throat chakra and trying to like keep it open and not allow my negative energy to stay in my throat, which is something that I think I'm accustomed to doing. I also really like, I think I have some like different card decks that I like to pull from, and like sitting down, writing out an intention, and placing, I have this little like altar thing in these two little hands that my sister gave me, that I've been putting intentions into it and leaving it there for like 3 days and then burning the paper.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to sort of like let that intention free, like, and it's about like releasing your intentions and releasing your goals and like trusting that it will come to fruition. I haven't done that one in a while, but that was like my whole year last year. I did that like all the time.
Okay, so then on a completely different topic, but could be related, and there are some very specific conspiracy theory circles that agree on that, but aliens, real or not?
I think they have to be real.
Right?
There's just no way that we are the only living species in this fucking galaxy. Like, there's just no way.
That's fair. I just wonder, like, do you think that we've had contact with them, or do you think they're just like, whatever?
I don't know. I mean, no one does, but I would like to think that we have had contact with them. I'm not huge into conspiracy theories or anything. I just like feel like there's just no way that we haven't. And there are some unexplained things. I do think that there has to be some sort of spirit world. I feel like, you know, starting with religion, why would we have these religious texts if there was no, I don't believe in God in the like Christian sense, like a man with a beard, who like is going, you know, I don't see it as a him or an, you know, even a person. I think of like the universe as like a wealth of spirit, and we are all part of it. So in that way, I just think that there's no way we haven't connected to it. And like, why would anyone write, you know, these religious texts if they hadn't tapped into that? So I just think that and I kind of see aliens and as like one and the same, even though they're probably not. It's probably more like there are other, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely other life form out there, like in our little galaxy or whatever. But then like beyond that, it's infinite space. Right. Like all these different suns. It's like, come on. Like I have a movie idea. I'm never going to write a movie, but I want there to be a movie about like a parallel world where like everything that we're doing is happening in the inverse over there. Which maybe that movie already exists, but I have this like image of it. I actually think my next album cover, if this is just like a bold thing to say, this might not come true, so don't. Right. But I kind of want it to be like a girl looking into a microscope at a girl looking into a microscope from like a very far away planet.
Yeah. Oh, how meta, dude. That would be so interesting.
I need to find like the right artist to do it. But that'd be cool. I don't know what it would be for. I don't even have the songs yet, but
you will soon.
I will. I'm working on them.
Oh, that's so awesome. You're working on new music before your new music is out. And it's, I don't know. Funny. Yeah. Is that crazy too? Like, does it feel like you're like cheating on yourself?
It's just kind of hard. Well, okay. One of the main things, and this was advice I got from my friends, Gracie and Rachel, from the band Gracie and Rachel. They're doing very well right now. We had drinks back in, a couple months ago, and they were like, the trick is to stay interested in the music that you're putting out. Because, and I've always done this, I'll put something out and I'll just be like, all right, cool, on to the next, like whatever. But if you really want people to appreciate your music, you need to appreciate your music and you need to kind of stay in it. So it's, we also, but at the same time, you have to be writing new stuff because once one thing's out, people want to hear the next thing, and the fucking content cycle of the times that we're in, you're supposed to, whatever. It's a whole other topic. But that was for them, they released an album. They then took it down and re-released it on a label. So it was literally like years. I think it was like 3 years between like they wrote these songs and then they're actually like on tour performing them. And they're like, you have to stay interested in those songs, even though you wrote them so long ago. And they might not even like pertain to your life anymore. But that's not quite the case with my album, only because there's part of me that really feels like I need to reconnect with it. And I'm, looking to plan a tour in the spring, and I want to be playing these songs regularly. So I do need to kind of dive back in, but they still, almost unfortunately, they still are, culturally relevant. Right. It's all about, being in the world as a woman. And I wrote it basically in 2016, and 2017, but I guess, 2016, 2017 was when I was writing the album. It took a long time. But all of those issues, Trump's still president, so. Yeah. And like, the world has not changed. The world has shifted. There's been a big shift, and I think we're finally talking about it, which is great, but like, it's not solved.
No, not even remotely.
And it won't be for a very long time. So, it's still relevant, I guess.
Besides the album coming out April 5th, is there anything that you want to pimp out to our listeners?
If anyone's in New York on April 11th, we're having an album release show at Union Pool.
Yeah,
And
love that venue.
yeah, I'm really excited with Rhodes Rollins, who is awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Oh, and Goldchild is also playing the show. She's another Brooklyn artist.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, all female fronted. It's gonna be super fun. I can't wait. So that's April 11th, and then yeah, so far that's the news. I'm also scoring a film right now.
What?
Which is really exciting. It's called Asking for It, and it's with Janine Garofalo is in it, which is really cool. And yeah, my friend Becky wrote it, and the trailer's coming out soon, so you can keep an eye out for that.
Awesome!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you have so much happening for you this year.
Yeah, it's a fun year, and I'm trying to get more into the sync world, writing music for commercials and stuff, totally separate from Birch, but just would love to become a full-time musician.
Yes, we want that for you.
No one wants a day job. I want my day job to be music. So, that's my goal for this year.
Good deal. Well, you're well on your way to it.
Getting there. Thank you for having me. It was fun to finally talk to you, hear your voice.